Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about my April favorites, and I was just kind of looking back on the month, and then I was, just kind of checking out my March favorites, and this is going to be a very stark difference from my March favorites. I think I only mentioned like 5 things in that video because the quarantine was just underway, and I really, my mind wasn't really in it, and I really wasn't wearing a lot of makeup at that point. But this past month, I feel like there's been an explosion of new releases. I've been wearing quite a bit of makeup every day. I've been, filming a lot or whatever, but I've just been playing around with a lot of things, and with the VIB sale going on, I just have like a lot of things to talk about. Some things are relatively new, but I absolutely love them. So this is going to be a relatively long video, and I do want to mention that I do have some of the things on my face, and I filmed a different video, so I wasn't able to film like cutaways of me actually applying the favorites, which I like to do for you guys. But I am wearing the same makeup that I wore in Tuesday's video where I talk about the Tom Ford Red Harness face palette. So a lot of the products I'm going to be talking about today are on my face. And if you're interested in this look, then definitely have a look at that video. So let me go ahead and start with foundation. This foundation has really grown on me this past month. So this is the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate Cushion Foundation. So I originally purchased it in the color Buff, which I have in this box here. Buff is 2.0, and that's the shade that I generally get when it comes to Tom Ford foundations. I have it in quite a number of Tom Ford foundations, and it's always worked for me. And it's not that this buff shade is like that different from any of the other buff shades that I have in Tom Ford. I think I just found something just a little bit better. So when I put the buff on, I just felt like it looked so kind of chalky on my complexion. It just made my complexion look a little bit too dull. Tone-wise, it has a very radiant finish, but tone-wise, I just felt like it really dulled my complexion. It matched my neck really, really nicely, and my neck is just so much lighter than the rest of my face that when you put this color on my face, it's such a stark difference from what I have, and I don't really like that. I don't know, maybe my tastes are changing, maybe my face is getting even more tan. Anyway, I decided to pick up the color 4.0 Fawn. So when I started to use this, it definitely, I think, is a great actual like match for my face. It's a little bit lighter than my forehead. It just looks really, really nice on my cheek area, and you can probably tell it is a little bit deeper than my neck. And I just bring it down, and I just feel like it looks a little bit more natural, because if my face is naturally a little bit darker than my neck, then I want to just kind of go with that. I don't want to be this like blank sheet. I personally don't want to like blank out my complexion so much. So anyway, once I got this shade, I've been wearing it more, and I just really, really love it. And it surprised me because the coverage of this cushion foundation is a little bit more than I expected. It's definitely like a medium coverage, and I'm definitely, especially in the warmer months, I'm definitely someone that really appreciates a light medium coverage base product. But there's something so perfecting about this. I don't feel like it looks heavy on the skin at all, even though it does have like a little bit of a heavier coverage than I'm used to. And I love the finish. It's a little bit more radiant than just something skin-like, but it's not too oily or shiny in any way. I just feel like it makes my skin look so healthy. I do have other products, obviously, on over this foundation. I have some powder, I have concealer, which we'll get into. I have, highlighter and all of that, but I just think it makes for such a wonderful starting point. The tone, the shade, the finish, like everything, the coverage. I still feel like I need a little bit of concealer, so it's not too heavy. This is not like a full coverage foundation. So I do feel like a little bit of my natural skin kind of comes through, which is my preference. So I've just been really, really loving this, and it definitely doesn't hurt that this packaging is so over the top, extra luxurious. It has such a nice weight to it. It's a typical cushion foundation, so it just opens up, and there's the cushion. It snaps shut. It comes with a little puff that I don't use. I've been using my sponge. This is the BK Beauty sponge with it. I just put like the butt end of it in there, and I just kind of tap it all over, and it's great. I don't feel like I need to use a lot of it, again, because the coverage is there. And I've just been really, really enjoying it. And when this first came out, I felt like there were like chunks of shade options that were missing. And I think they're kind of slowly filling in. All these like mid shades were available. I think on Nordstrom is where I saw it. In any case, this is a definite favorite of mine from this past month. And then in terms of concealer, I still love my Dior concealer, but I have beaten that horse to death. So I thought I would mention another concealer that I have been loving that I'm actually wearing today. And this is the Pat McGrath concealer. It is full coverage. And again, you know, I don't really like full coverage concealers. I don't like, you know, medium coverage foundations. I don't know what's come over me. But the reason why I don't generally like full coverage concealers is because they tend to look cakey. They tend to look thick. They tend to look very makeup-y under the eyes, which is generally where I focus concealer. But this doesn't. I mean, I think you have to be careful because when I put a very light layer of this concealer down, I think it looks amazing. I mean, high coverage, smoothing, it doesn't emphasize lines, anything like that. But when I put like a second layer down, or if my first layer is too thick, it does look a little cakey. I feel like it does start to emphasize lines and things like that. So I think less is more when it comes to this concealer. And then when you pair it with this powder, it is really quite magical. So that's what I have underneath my eyes at the moment. And this is in the shade Light. There's like 3 different shades of this powder. This light shade is like pretty much white, but it is so translucent on the skin and you need just a little bit to set the concealer, and it just continues to kind of like up the blurring and smoothing effect underneath your eyes. So it just is so flawless. I just use a brush like this Designer Pro from Sonia G for the powder, or like the Wang airbrush. It's like perfect for this powder. You just need a little bit and then you just kind of like pat it on and you're done. It's like you get like a brand new layer of skin under there. It's really quite magical. But again, the secret, I think, to this concealer is less. Less is more. All right. Cheek products. I have a lot. Okay, let me start with these Chanel powders. So these are the Le Beige Healthy Glow Illuminating Powder in Sand and Sunset. The Sand colorway is like a very subtle highlight, and I like using it as a subtle highlight. I like using it very lightly as kind of like a last step to kind of just add a little bit of illumination all over. I just swatched it on the back of my hand here, and I think you can see it. It just has a really beautiful soft shimmer to it. The tone of it is actually a little bit more subdued, I feel like, than when you see in the pan. In the pan, it looks very like peachy flesh tone, but it's a little bit lighter and a little bit more subtle than I think what you see in here. So that's the Sand colorway. And then the Sunset colorway is like a bronze. And this bronze is definitely a warm tone bronze, and it also has like a gold shimmer to it. So it is a very like va-va-voom, blingy kind of bronze. You put it on and you'll get this like really smooth, like gold kind of like hint to your bronze. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's so beautiful. But if you're kind of like into, you know, just kind of a matte bronze to, you know, warm up your face a little bit, this is going to be like way too much fever for you. It's like, it has like that much gold in it that really gives the bronze like this beautiful like sheen. So it's definitely not for the subtle bronze lover in you. This is something I really love whipping out. If I'm doing like a really warm kind of look, this has been wonderful. And both of these powders are pressed powders. They're not baked or anything. So they're very soft. They blend really easily, and you can kind of just like dust it all over your face very easily. So I love the formula. I love the finish of both of these powders. They're just gorgeous. So I've been enjoying these very much. And then another bronzer highlight duo is from Clinique. I have to say, I am so pleasantly surprised by these. These are very new to my collection, so I feel a little bit weird mentioning them in my monthly favorites, but I love them so much. This bronzer is so peachy warm. I feel like it can double as like a neutral blush. It's really gorgeous. This highlight has a gorgeous like peachy undertone to it. And both of these products are like a baked gelée product. So they have that very kind of like sheer but buildable effect, and they just kind of like melt onto the skin. They're just really gorgeous. And I can't even remember the last time I purchased a Clinique product, but the flower embossing on here really, really caught my eye. I do love this like Baked Gelée formula, and I'm not actually a fan of their cheek pops, and I think it's the same kind of formula, but there's something about the cheek pops that I just don't like. I wish they had a little bit more sheen to them. I don't know what it is, but I love these. So let me go ahead and swatch these for you. So here's the bronzer and here is the highlight. Did I even tell you the proper name? So these are the Clinique Powder Pop Flower Highlighter in Lunar Pop, and this is the Flower Bronzer in Solar Pop. I think this may be sold out at the moment. I think the VIB sale kind of wiped a lot of products out. Those are the Clinique Powder Pop Highlighter and Bronzer. Love. And then more bronzers for you. I mean, this is the season for bronzers, right? This is the spring, summer season. All the bronzers that are gonna come out for the year are gonna come out now. And Kosas came out with some baked bronzers. What are these actually called? I think these are the Sun Show bronzers. And I'm holding up light and medium because light is a shade I feel comfortable kind of dusting all over my face just to kind of warm it up a little bit. And medium, I feel comfortable using very lightly if I want to kind of use it as like a bronzer thing, you know, under my cheekbones, around my forehead, that sort of thing. So here is medium and here is light. So I do have a dedicated video to these bronzers if you are interested in seeing me apply the light and the medium, but let me go ahead and swatch these for you. So the medium is on top and the light is on the bottom, and you can see that they have a very strong, like a satin finish to them. Really, really beautiful. These are baked products, but they're not baked gelée. They're like a baked powder. And so they are very, very powdery. You know, when you stick your brush in, you'll see quite a bit of kick up. But they are formulated, I think, with a lot of shea butter. So there's this real, like, lovely creaminess to it. And it just, like, blends like almost like a cream product, like right onto your cheeks. It's really, really gorgeous on the skin. These bronzers are definitely on the warmer side, so you can see quite a bit of like an orange undertone to both of these. So, you know, during the fall winter when my face is not bronzed at all, when I definitely lose a bit of color, the orange toned bronzers definitely are not my friend. I feel like they look a little bit odd, but once I start to get a little bit of like natural color going on my skin, I do feel like a warmer bronze looks nice. It really helps enhance like my natural, you know, tan. So these have worked really, really beautifully for me. So those are the Kosas, the Sun Show bronzers. There is a third shade, by the way. There is a deep, which is obviously much too deep for me, but the light and the medium work pretty well for me. Okay, I have a lot of cream blushes to talk about. Again, this is the season. This is the season for cream blushes. I love cream blushes. I use them all year round. But like bronzers, I feel like a lot of companies come out with them during this time of year, and I've just fallen in love with so many. So I'm gonna talk about these two because I just recently talked about them, so I won't go on and on. But the Tower 28 Beach Please in Happy Hour, this is for the cheek and the lip, and then the RMS Lip to Cheek in Beloved. I adore these. These are so wonderful. The formulas are a little bit different. The RMS is definitely a little bit more emollient than the Tower 28. The Tower 28 has a little bit more drag to it when you're kind of blending it, not in a bad way, but it just sets down a little bit more than the RMS, but I absolutely love them. And I'll swatch all of the ones that I talk about at the end so we can compare. So that's the Tower 28. I just love this color and I love this formula. Really, really pigmented. You don't need a lot. And then, like I said, the RMS has a little bit more emollients, but I think if you tap this on, especially over powder, or if you tap it on lightly, I don't find it to be sticky. That was definitely a comment that I got quite a bit on this product, that it was sticky on the cheek and to kind of be careful. So I have found that it actually sets down really nicely on my skin. So I don't have the stickiness problem with this, thankfully, because that's not something I like. The next one is Above and Beyond from Pkwy. So this is her cream blush, and the color is Above and Beyond. And this shade, this formula is just absolutely perfect. Pkwy is a 100% organic beauty brand, and her cream blushes are probably one of the best things in her line. They're just really pigmented, they really blend out beautifully, and all of these that I'm talking about, they stay all day, which sometimes doesn't happen with cream products, even with powder products. I feel like with blush especially, they can fade very, very quickly, but all of these have really, really wonderful staying power. So that's the Pkwy. And then last, but definitely not least, is the Westman Atelier Pop It color. Is that not fantastic? I've had this shade for a while and I just started using it, and it's such, oh, it's such a beautiful, bright, kind of cool toned pink. And it's actually a nice contrast to the other three that I just talked about, which all have like a little bit of warmth to them. This one is definitely the coolest, but they're all really bright. And I just think, oh, just absolutely so perfect for the warmer months. So let me go ahead and swatch all of these for you so you can see them all next to one another. And you know, as I'm swatching this, I'm realizing that all of these brands are clean beauty brands. I think here Weiss is the only one that's 100% organic, maybe RMS Beauty. I know Westman Atelier and Tower 28 are clean, but not 100% organic. All right, wow, I definitely have a type, huh? So the first one on top is Tower 28 in Happy Hour. This next one is the RMS Beloved, and this one is the most red. This one has the most kind of like reddish pink. And then this Kier Weiss Above and Beyond is the most orange. And then this Westman Atelier Pop It is the coolest and most like hot pink. These two, the Kier Weiss and the RMS, these are the two most emollient formula out of the four. This one is probably in the middle. And then this one is probably the least emollient. This one I like to use with a brush. I just kind of like brush over the stick and then I'll like apply it onto the cheek. I won't go directly in with the stick. You definitely can. You can kind of like tap it on if you want. And then I want to say Tower 28 has kind of like the thickest consistency out of these four, and then these two are the most emollient. And I do want to mention, I have been loving this liquid cream highlighter, and this is from Grande Cosmetics, and this is one of their newer products. It's called Grande Glow, and this is a plumping liquid highlighter. They sent over all of their shades in the highlighter, and then they also have these Grande Pop, like liquid / cream blushes, which are also really, really lovely, but the four that I mentioned have really kind of monopolized my time. But I've been really enjoying this plumping liquid highlighter, and this is in the shade French Pearl. They have 3 shades altogether. This is the lightest. So they have this giant doe foot applicator, and then they're really cooling when you apply them. And they have this kind of like lifting, tightening kind of action that you can see when you apply it on your cheeks. It's just such an interesting product. I've never really experienced any other Grande Cosmetics products, but I really enjoy it. Look at this highlight. Isn't that so beautiful? And it sets down, I don't want to say completely, but it sits down very nicely so that there's no tackiness, there's no stickiness, but look at that shine. It has like a shimmer to it. It's just really lovely for a liquid highlighter. So I've been enjoying this a lot. And again, this is in the color French Pearl. I'm talking about so many products and I have that feeling like I'm forgetting something, and I'm sure I have. But anyway, let's go ahead and press on. I have some face palettes to talk about. I've really been enjoying this By Terry Brightening CC palette. This, I believe, has sold out on the By Terry site. I think it's available on the Beautylish site still, but in any case, I'll link it down below in my description box. But this is just really gorgeous. I'm a big fan of these By Terry CC powders. I have some of the compacts, the like single compacts of them, and they just have such a lovely finish. So this is, you know, meant to be a highlight. Then we have 2 blushes, and then we have this bronzer. This blush, this lighter blush, is the only product in here that has like little micro glitters in it, but they all have this really beautiful kind of like satin finish. I do also have a video talking about this product and some of the other summer 2020 collections from By Terry on my channel if you're interested, but you can see me like actually use all the products. And I just love the really like light, feminine, kind of like pretty look that I get whenever I use this palette. So here are the 4 shades swatched out. Here's the highlighter, the light blush with the micro glitters, the deeper blush, and then the bronzer. And the bronzer is quite light. This is a bronzer that, you know, I feel comfortable kind of lightly dusting all over my face, and I can build this up and, you know, kind of build it underneath my cheekbones if I want to use it as a contour. But all the products are really lovely. They're all a pressed powder formula, so they pick up easily on the brush. They apply really nicely. They blend out really beautifully. There is a rose the By Terry kind of like rose fragrance. So if that bothers you, stay away from this product. But there is a definite By Terry rose scent to this. And then I thought I would mention the two Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate Face and Eye palettes. I have Red Harness on. I have all of it, the bronzer, the highlight, and the eyeshadows on. And let me show that one to you first. So this video came out on Tuesday. So if you want to take a look at me applying it and check out some swatches and some comparison swatches, definitely head on over to that video. But here it is. So all of these newer face palettes from Tom Ford have this wonderful like Beige Gelée formula. These are all the wet dry eyeshadow formulas from Tom Ford, which are, oh, they're so, so beautiful. They give you this like watercolor effect. You can even build them up. You can make them really, really pigmented, but they will always have like a soft touch to them. I just love them. They're really beautiful. So this is Red Harness. And the other one that I love is Rose Cashmere. And this is the one that's a little bit lighter. It's a little bit more daytime. I think this Red Harness one that I have on is great for like day to night. I think it can work for either. This one just has a much softer look. And I do have a dedicated video to this as well, if you want to check it out, again, for swatches, comparison swatches, things like that. I do have a third face palette, the Moonlit Violet palette from Tom Ford. Those were the three that I was able to kind of get my hands on. That dedicated video is coming up, but I have been playing with it and I like that one too, but I definitely feel myself reaching for the Rose Cashmere and the Red Harness more than that one. I think if you're a purple lover, that one is great. I'm generally not a purple eyeshadow wearer, so it's probably my own personal bias why I don't like that one as much as these two, because the quality is there and the formula is wonderful, all of that. But I really, really like the Red Harness and the Rose Cashmere. I just think they're so beautiful and I love the looks that I get. I love the highlighter and the bronzer. The highlighter in both of those, in all three of them, are just so like wet looking. And when you really rub it in, they start to look really glossy looking. The contour slash bronzer shade in all of them are also really, really lovely. They have like just the perfect tone to use as contour or as bronzer. They're great. The formula, like I've already mentioned like 10 times, is so wonderful. I just love these. So those are the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate face palettes. And then I'm just going to mention this eyeshadow palette quickly, but I talked about this in my Sephora VIB recommendations, so I'm just going to kind of slide right through this one. But the Natasha Denona Mini Retro palette. I just think this, you know, just strikes the right note for spring summer. It's very soft. It's really, really beautiful. I think because it has like the variety of different finishes in here, you can, you know, create a very natural look, or you can really amp it up with some of these shinier like metallic shades. So I really love this palette. I just love the soft look to it. And I love how the tones are very, very desaturated. They're not really super bright. They're just kind of this like, almost like a soft kind of like desaturated pastel kind of palette. So anyway, that's the Natasha Denona Mini Retro palette. And now let's move on to lips, of which, like the cheek products, I have a lot of. So the first one I want to mention, I think you guys probably saw this coming, are the Tower 28 Shine On Lip Jellies. Fire is the first color that I got, and because I love this shade of lipstick, again for the summertime, this is just such a great kind of like juicy top coat that I can put on top of those shades. And then these two I got during the Sephora VIB sale. I knew I liked the formula, so it was just a matter of, you know, what other shades did I want to get. So Magic is this like iridescent shade with all of these like wonderful like gold little shimmers in there. It's just really beautiful, wonderful by itself, great as a top coat, just so much fun. And then this one is XOXO, and this is like kind of like a fuchsia. It just looks like jelly. It looks like jelly or jam in there, and it just gives my lips like this really lovely like pink tint. When I put them on and when I, you know, press my lips together, I don't feel a lot of stickiness. They just feel really comfortable on the lips. But when I take them off, I then feel like a little bit of tackiness. So I don't feel the stickiness while I'm wearing it. I feel it when I'm trying to remove it. So I don't really know what that's about. Maybe it's a makeup remover that I'm using. It's kind of having an effect on it. But anyway, I thought I would mention that because I thought that was really interesting. Other lip color that I've been loving, I think this is just not available at the moment. I don't know when they're going to be restocking. But this is one of the Jimmy Choo lipsticks. And I purchased this off of Harrods.com. They were all available, and then, you know, color started disappearing, and now there's just no Jimmy Choo Beauty at all. There's some fragrances, but no actual like color products when you search for Jimmy Choo on the Harrods site. So I'm checking several times a day just to see if there's going to be a restock, and when there is, I will let you guys know over Instagram. So definitely follow me over there if you're interested in the Jimmy Choo or any other products. I try and let you guys know when new stuff comes out. But here is the packaging. So it's meant to look like a stiletto heel, and then the lipstick just comes out the top. So this color is just, it's called Coral Kiss, and I got it in the satin finish. And the Jimmy Choo lipsticks have like the python, they're known for python. So they're python embossing on the bullet. Isn't that cool? This Coral Kiss color is so vibrant and so bright. And this formula is so pigmented. It's one of those like one swipe lipstick situations. I don't need to go over it. I mean, unless I'm perfecting an edge, but I definitely don't need to go over it like a dozen times. It's really, really beautiful, really, really comfortable on the lips. And they're supposed to have a fragrance. I don't really smell anything though. I mean, like a faint whiff of like a perfume kind of, but I barely smell it, and I only get whiffs of it, and I definitely don't really smell it. Definitely there's no taste to it at all when I apply it. So that's really good. But these are the Jimmy Choos, and again, when they come back into stock, I will let you know over Instagram. And then my love for this product has been completely rekindled. I pulled this out when I did my Rose Cashmere face palette video. Yeah, and this is the Tom Ford Gloss Luxe lip gloss in the color Tantalize. If something like the Coral Kiss from Jimmy Choo is just a little too bold, a little bit too much, a lip gloss version with a little bit of pigment could be a nice option for you, you know, if you're tempted to wear a color like this. But here is Tantalize. So the brightness is there, the punchiness is there. It's just not quite as intense as a lipstick. And this one has, you probably can't tell, but this one has like little itty bitty like shimmers in there. So it just adds to the glossiness. It adds to like the juicy effect on your lips. And the formula on this lip gloss, it's a little bit looser. It's a little bit more kind of like oily on the lips. It just kind of sits on your lips, and then it starts to really sink in fairly quickly, and it feels really wonderful. It's very, very moisturizing, but it's not one of those like sticky kind of lip glosses. It's definitely looser than, I need to think of a better word than looser, but it's a little bit looser than that. Okay, so I'm gonna end it there because I could go on and on. I do feel like there are some products that I am missing, but there's always next month. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what some of your favorites have been for this past month. I love hearing from you guys. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.